Hi, it is the Human Operating System time. So this channel is for educations and technology only. So a few days ago, I shared a video on the E.G. Kam Yong Ma of 1850s Wing Chun. And after that, I have received many messages from our Wing Chun friends. And one thing comes up is that many of our friends asking me, well, how can it be breathing? Don't we spend a lot of time in practicing this internal Wing Chun routine and structure, lifting anus, straighten spine? So I decide to share with you this big picture today. With this picture, you will have a clear view on what happened with traditional Chinese martial art, which including Wing Chun, and so that you can compare with it and you can know what happened with the martial art of today's world, 2020, and you know the sports science behind it and so forth. So let's start with this big picture here. The first thing is, so I got these questions asking me, we spend a lot of time on routing, on mechanics, on structure, handling, and so forth. Isn't that the core of the Kung Fu development? When you stand horse stance and so forth? Well, it turns out that I have no idea why is it get this way. Okay. In my book, the Wing Chun Matrix, there are three realities in the ancient Chinese martial arts. Three realities. The first reality is the momentum, impulse momentum play is the core. The second reality is quoting direct from the Shaolin sword strike. In page 59 here, it says that breathing is strength, the root of martial artists. Okay, so this is legit Shaolin classic document on sword strike, which has been verified by the Chinese historian who study the traditional Chinese martial art culture. So it said here clearly, breathing is strength, the root of martial artists. The transportations of force or jing is based on breathing. So that is the second reality. The third reality of this book, Wing Chun Matrix, is the Shaolin document described clearly on sword strike, which is Wing Chun based on. Wing Chun is from Shaolin, as we know all the legends and story, and Wing Chun is a short strike, close quarter fighting. So there are three realities in this book based on citing the ancient classic. And fighting, the reality of fighting is the play of impulse momentum. The reality of the core, the root of the martial art Kung Fu development is breathing. Because breathing supports strength. Breathing supports strength. And we know in the traditional Chinese martial art history, it said that if you want to study martial art and for fighting, the first is, do you have the courage? The second, the courage must be supported by the strength. And then the techniques come later. This is what based on ancient Chinese. See, it doesn't talk about the rooting as today. You need to have the root, like the internal art people saying that you have to root here, root there, or have the structure here and there. It doesn't. So we look at the ancient scripture of China as the three truths here. It is a dynamic stuff. Fighting or traditional Chinese martial art is a dynamic stuff. It is not about rooting, standing there, root, or you have to hold a certain type of structure. Okay, so this again, this is not Hendrix said. The three realities here. Okay, now if we talk about breathing, okay, and strength, with this H model, the model which is I mapped the ancient to the modern sports science in the Wing Chun Inception book. We can actually see what is happening mapping the ancient practice and today's sports science. So this is very important. If we go through that, then we know what is going on. Okay. By the way, this thing I will take a photo and put under here, the link under this video, YouTube. So it's in my blog if you want to have this thing. Okay. Now we talk about breathing. And we talk about, as the Shaolin classics say, that breathing is the root of the strength. And first we want to define this, clarify this. Breathing, this strength is not those fudging or those kind of stuff. Okay, strength means strength. Do you have body strength or not? Like a sportman, they need strength. Okay, if you don't have strength, you simply cannot even move the body. Okay, and as in the Shaolin short strike riding here, it says this. Okay, I read it for you. This is 59. This is important. The transportations of force or jing is based in breathing. The handling of bleeding depends on the lower abdomen operations. If the breathing is not at lower abdomen but at the chest, the handling of legs and footwork will not be solid. How will this defeat the opponent? Breathing is strength, the root of a martial artist. Okay, so this is quoting the Shaolin short strike. With that, we look at today's the physiological state of today's sports science. We know that they are anaerobic. Okay, so there's physiological states in the sport. We know there's aerobic type of training. Anaerobic type of training and aerobic type of training. Okay, it's very clear. It describes what is aerobic and anaerobic today in sports science, because those are what a sportman is going through. Be it is a runner or it's an MMA player, it always have to come through, because human is human. Now, and the anaerobic, aerobic, it all associate with the heart rate zone, as described in the H model here. Okay, now, and today we know that Qigong is belong to heart rate zone 1 and the resting heart rate. Okay, so the resting heart rate and heart rate zone 1 around here, it is the Qigong practice. There's the heart rate you want to expect for the Qigong practice. The aerobic, you expect zone 2, zone 3, and then anaerobic, zone 4, zone 5, like this. Okay, so by monitor the heart rate, either one is practice Qigong aerobic or anaerobic. Now, knowing this, we want to ask a questions today. As we usually heard in general, people say, well, internal art. Okay, internal art is more advanced than external art and so forth. And then the Western sports science, Western boxing is external art. There is a usual, we heard those kind of stuff. What is that true? Is that true that the Western boxing is external art, Western science is external art, Western science have no idea what is Qigong? Well, the key is it's not true. The truth is, if one want to handle the physiological states of human, one need to be able to handle the entire thing. The entire thing, the from zone 1 to zone 5. So anybody who say that they are internal, they better know all these things really clearly. They better be able to do Qigong, do aerobic, do anaerobic. Knowing Qigong itself means one have no idea what is internal, because aerobic and anaerobic is also internal. It is just a different physiological state within human body in humans operations. Okay? Human operation can never be just in the resting zone and zone 1. That's the Qigong zone. Human operations has to be get into the anaerobic and aerobic due to the functions needed to be operated. So if one want to handle fighting or the impulse momentum, one cannot avoid, have to run the body within the zone 4, zone 5. Okay? For condition and skill, those type of function, condition the body and skill, drill, those kind of stuff, one cannot avoid zone 3, zone 4, zone 2, zone 3. And for recovery, healing, and health benefits, one cannot avoid the resting heart rate to zone 1, this range. So if one say that one have this internal art, then that means one need to be able holistically, comprehensively have all the handling. Okay? So the definition, if we look into the ancient traditional Chinese martial art, it does have all of this. You look at General Qi Guang's the books, records, as in chapter 4 of Wing Chun Inception, you see it's up here. And you see that there's Qigong here and the drill training here, all sort of stuff. So in ancient Chinese, they have all this complete thing. It's not just the term, I'm internal, you are external. Because I talk about Qi, and I talk about philosophy, and I talk about the 3 Dantian, well, forget about it. Internal means one have all this handling. So it doesn't matter if we talk about it, we call it, label it Dantian or lower abdomens or whatever. It better be able to monitor and detect and tracking, and it better fit to the world. Because human being, like Buddha nature, there is no east and west. You are human, I'm human. This is human operations. Okay? Now, why do one need to train for the anaerobic? Well, if you want max speed, maximum speed, handling of your impulse momentum, the full accelerated, you need to go here for the anaerobic. For the aerobic, you want to train for maximize your aerobic capacity, or endurance or sustained speed, then you need the aerobic training, okay, which is the VO2 max. So for the Qigong training is increase the oxygen intake while do not loading or while without loading the heart and lung. Okay, so it just increase the oxygen intake. So for example of this state is like in the ancient Chinese, when people practice Kung Fu, the first thing they do is 100 days they have to stand in the horse stance or 站桩. So what is that for? That is actually to increase the breathing volume or oxygen intake without rising the heart rate. You keep the heart rate the same, but you increase the breathing capacity by activating the lower abs breathing, the natural lower abs breathing. So one need to do 100 days of that. And that is what is mentioned here in the Shaolin Sword Strike. Just now I have quoted you the lower abs breathing. Well, one can call that lower abs breathing the Dantian breathing or whatever heck. But today we know that that training is actually you keep the heart rate the same while you're increasing the breathing capacity or the oxygen intake without increasing the heart rate or breathing rate. Because if you increase your heart rate and breathing rate, you get into the aerobic. Okay, so this one is like you keep everything the same in the resting state. In the like normally we standing resting state, not that sleeping resting. Okay. The breathing, the heart rate keep the same, and then you increase the oxygen intake. And that is actually the 2C state in the Wing Chun matrix books. Okay, it is this 2C state where we can use tools to help us today to experience that 2C state. See, if you ask people, say, you know, you practice Kung Fu, you need to stand in the 站桩 100 days, or you want to stand in the horse stance 100 days, it actually doesn't mean anything. It will back up to the like, you know, you have to stand there for routing, you have to stand there for structure. But it's not. It is actually to increase the breathing capacity without loading the lung and the heart. And actually, only yesterday, there one of our Wing Chun friend who read this book, the Wing Chun Matrix, and follow the instructions, and he get this. Okay, you can take a screenshot here. So this is a friend who have practiced martial art for years, and so this is what he said. I read for you. Okay, tonight I was able to partially activate 2C in all my stance. Breath come much more freely than usual, and it feel like cool breeze filling my lower abdomen and the whole body. Okay, so he just got the book, and then I just follow the instructions, and in no time, instantly, he get into that state. Well, that is the state. And of course, when one is good at it, when one stand there, then the heart rate and the breathing rate even drop, while the breathing capacity increases. Okay, so that's the 2C state. Now, if one have no idea on this 2C straight, meaning that one have no experience in keeping talking about this rooting and keeping talking about this this structure holding, well, now we got issue. It's go off topic already. Whatever one train is off topic, it is not what developing the root of the Kung Fu as per the Shaolin short strike. And because we need this oxygen to power our body, okay, and strength need that. It's based on that, as in the Shaolin short strike canon in the I read it here. Now, if you look at that, what written in the Shaolin short strike actually match up this thing. Because all of those, like your VO2 max, your oxygen, maximum oxygen and so forth in the training, in match up that one need to have a bigger or larger volume of breathing capability in order to do good in the sport or exercise or fighting. Okay, so the root of Kung Fu, indeed, it is breathing. One want to fight, one need to be able to handle all of this. When after one get into this max speed and impulse momentum handling, after the fight, one have to go back here for recovery, right? So that's how the big picture. Now, one other thing is, this state is related to the autonomic nervous system, and that influence our blood flow in our body. In anaerobic, which is running in the sympathetic nervous system dominance, the blood flow increasing flow to the skeletal muscle. So at this rate, they are increasing blood flow to the skeleton muscle. Now, on the Qigong, we know it is running into the parasympathetic dominance state, and actually it is decreasing blood flow to the skeletal muscles. Okay, so that is why that, because this is decreasing to the skeletal muscle, we know it is going, the blood, you know, if you have this amount 100% of blood, then this is like you have say 30% going to the skeletal muscle, and the rest of 70% is to your internal organ and so forth, so forth. Over here, if 70% of your blood flow is going to the skeletal muscle, then you have 30% within it to run your body. Okay, and that's important. Why? It get into a concept in the ancient called internal injury. What internal injury is, if one keeping training in the anaerobic, where the blood flow to the skeletal and the internal organ and so forth do not have adequate blood flow because of the blood go to the skeletal muscle. Long term of that is causing internal injury per the ancient Chinese term. And today's term, we know that those are what? Those are overtraining. And also that one need to be really fit to train this anaerobic, because when your blood flow increase with the skeletal muscle, then you only left whatever for your internal organs. Now, if we are not fit, you know, like if we have if we have blood pressure, high blood pressure issue, or the heart issue, or whatever internal organs and so forth issue, then this is a really tough job, and it might cause wear and tear to the body, because the blood flow distributions now is different over here. While this one in the recovery is your blood flow to the skeletal muscle decreases, and then it can support your internal organs. Okay, so in the ancient, the teacher want the student to practice this thing first, the 100 days, to get the breathing, so make sure it increase the breathing capacity, and then for healing. Now, if the student is not ready, it's not going to get here, because in the ancient, it knows that the teachers know that who should train or who should not train. That's why in the ancient, the teacher teaching one student is different than another student, because that has to base on their body condition. One cannot just copy, or the next student is doing like this, I'm doing like this. So this is also match up with the ancient teaching. Okay, so it is not that everybody can go train fighting, because you know that there's a trade-off. If one is not fit enough, one is go training, fighting, and so forth, is going to cause long-term wear and tear to the body, internal organs. Like people today saying that it's overtraining, it doesn't have the enough recovery. The body cannot handle it, cannot handle it. Those people who have some heart conditions or kidney conditions or inflammations in the body, well, if the body need all this blood flow and so forth to support, then for the Qigong, it's okay, it's good. Okay, maybe slight aerobic here in this range is good. Have circulations, and you have enough to support blood flow to support body. But when you get to anaerobic, it's a different story. Okay, now, so we know that in terms of art, the 1850s Wing Chun is following the traditional Chinese martial arts path. The first is you get the student to train into the Qigong for the recovery, healing, and health benefit for 100 days. And only after that, gradually it increases the activity to aerobic to anaerobic, if it is suitable. If it is not suitable, one might just stop in the aerobic, say no, you are not going to go anaerobic, because your body cannot take it. If say, think about somebody who has tuberculosis or heart issue, will you want them to go to anaerobic training when the body is in balance and so forth? So that is the path of 1850s. Okay, now today's MMA, we know that is aerobic and anaerobic. So if you want to fight, you do anaerobic, period. And the issue is that the Chinese have this big picture. They say that that's why the Sifu is not going to teach some student fighting. You can hear all the story about the Chinese good fighter die young, because their body cannot take it. Sifu cannot tell them must not train, but they train and they die young. Well, that's all this thing, right? So MMA is good. Yes, it's good. And today is even better because of the sports science. But without the sports science, without this understanding, MMA can be disaster. Any martial art can be disaster. Because we don't know the body, we don't know the breathing condition, we don't know the body. Okay? Now, there is a problem with the traditional Chinese martial art in the past 100 years or so. So that's what happened with this popular internal art, such as Tai Chi. Well, if you look at the Tai Chi training today on this using Yi, not using strength, and all this kind of stuff, no breathing training, and talk about this philosophy and Qi and everything, those are some kind of training between this on vicinity or gray area in the Qigong and the aerobic. Do it slow, soft. Okay, push hand slow, soft, fudging. Well, those are in this area. How is that going to supposed to fight the MMA guy? Well, the classical case is the Tai Chi guy who fought the MMA guy Xi Xiaodong. It only lasts a few minutes. If you don't have this training like the MMA guy, you know, you look at the body, you look at the breathing and strength, you know already. You look at the impulse momentum, you know already. So if one training in the popular Tai Chi, so-called popular Tai Chi, not every Tai Chi, I'm saying popular Tai Chi, where you do push hand, slow, and then fudging, using strength, using yi, not using strength, Dan Tian, all kind of stuff. Never handle impulse momentum like the Tai Chi guy who fought Xi Xiaodong. Never run the body at the high speed and train that way. Of course, you are not going to you are not going to do good at all. It's a different world, okay? In the real fighting world, not those things. So the issue of this problem with today's so-called internal art, this internal magic of the fudging and so forth, actually come with some Tai Chi classic who is writing something opposite to or against the Qigong writing, and people buy that. Okay, such as using 4 caddy can defeat 1,000. 4 ounce can defeat 1,000 caddy or 1,000 pounds. Using slow can defeat the fast. And using sensing can defeat the momentum. Well, that brings traditional Chinese martial art to the drain, because General Qigong already said, you want to fight, you better be able to play impulse momentum, as I cited here. Shaolin Short Strike say, you want to fight, you better have your breathing and your strength. Well, that is consistent with today's sports science and for MMA and all other martial art. And also over here, you want to fight, the third reality is Wing Chun, short strike mechanics. You need to know what is the strategy or how to handle the impulse momentum of the short strike. Okay? Now, if you bring in this using yi, not using strength, using the Dan Tian Qi, and then using this fudging, well, you are living in another world. And you look at the traditional Chinese martial art in this past 50, 60 years, including Wing Chun, people copying all this thing or importing all this internal stuff. Well, where that is going to lead to? Well, the reality is this. Be it 1850s or 2020, it is this one. Where is it located in this one for those qi and those kind of stuff? First of all, most never get into this 2C state anyway. And then one never get into the impulse momentum. Well, you can do the push hand or chi sao and so forth. Well, you end up like this. The most is with this aerobic stuff, in this aerobic zone. How is that going to use against the real fighting of the impulse momentum, which is up here, which is require, MMA require this red line up here, and you only have this training. Not to mention, you have no idea of the recovery and hearing, you have no idea of this max speed performance and V2O max, those kind of stuff. So this is a reality. Okay, so I make this today so that you are clear what is going on. So over here, I'm not putting down any style or like Tai Chi or anything. Well, the issue is I read the thesis of Wang Zhongye, Tai Chi Classic. He lived in this world and thinking he can control the entire thing, living in this world. Living in this world and thinking that they can cover the entire board here. Well, that's a disaster. And then you're living about this Fa Jing here, which is the skill and all this, I say that this is how to use mechanical tricks. Well, that's very different than here, when things dynamic. Okay? So this is what I'd like to share with you today. That's why I wrote this book, to tell what is the truth. There are many people who don't like, and even friends thinking I'm making things up. But in fact, I just quote whatever in the ancient Shaolin and traditional Chinese martial arts. So this one map it to impose momentum, because you need physics for that, to understand that. And here, map into this H model, so that we know what is the world today, you know, based on the heart rate variability, SpO2, VO2 max, lactic acid, all kinds of stuff. Okay? So we want the ancient to be able to be explained in today's language, and people know, people can get result. Like this friend, if they doing the 2C right away, you get your heart rate remain the same and your breathing rate, the heart rate remain the same and the breathing capacity right away increases, and that's what they feel. Okay, that's why it is. That's why it is feel like breath come much more freely than usual, and it feel like cool breeze filling my lower abdomens and the whole body. The 2C. Because we today can use technology, which is the tools to get us to experience it without going to 100 days. You experience it now, and then you know it, and then you keep develop it. That is the key. Instead of saying, you know, just follow what Sifu says, standing there, and then suddenly somebody says it's a routing, structure, and then you go routing and structure. After 100 days, have no idea about all this thing. So this part is gone. And then end up like the MMA, but the thing is that if you not go up here and believe in some kinds of magic, then you're stuck here. And then you can read the Tai Chi thesis and say, well, it's good. Okay, so then the entire thing stuck here, and then you say, oh yeah, Chi Sao is good for street fighting. Stuck in this area of the aerobic, and some here, you know, in the resting, and then thinking that be able to cover the entire thing. So how is that going to do a street fight? Street fight is really violent. Even more violence than MMA, because MMA or Western boxing still have rules. Thai boxing have rules. BJJ have rules. Street fight have no rules. Everything goes. So this is disaster. So for past 100 years, the Chinese Kung Fu get into this track, this black hole. Okay? Or shake your body to Fa Jing. What has that got to do with all this thing? Well, you need all this. This is the engine to fight. And if we cannot go up here, we can use this part for our health. That's why Chinese martial art, Wing Chun 1850 is saying inside there, for strengthen the body and for fighting. But if we cannot do the fighting, because, you know, like I'm 60 years old, I'm not going to go up here. Okay, I just don't want to kill myself. Not to mention my diabetic type 1. I'm going to stay around here. Right? So I cause less trouble for myself. And my medical doctor, I'm not going to push up here, I'm going to go here, just to help my body. So this is to share with you today. I know to present this in Silicon Valley in the West, many people might not like it. Many people do not like it. Say, well, Hendrik, why do you talk down, talk bad on people, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking bad. I just present the reality. In fact, if you look at that, I am champion our ancestor. I tell the world with this books. Our ancient ancestor know this. If I'm not good enough to be able to develop it, then that's my problem. But the ancient ancestor know this, and it fits sports science. And now we can use sports science to verify and even improve. And only this way, the art can survive, can grow, can continues to evolve, and then for the future generations, if they know this, they know how to train properly. They know how to learn from other people. It's not living in this black hole here and thinking, this is philosophy. Okay, the Qi is according to the Taoist philosophy. Taoist philosophy, what? This is all engineering. This is all technology. If you don't have it, you get wiped out. 450 years ago, didn't General Qi Gong have already proved it? You can have all your Chinese 5,000 years of philosophy and Taoist philosophy. Didn't General Qi Gong have already proved it? If you don't know the reality, you don't evolve, you don't improve, you couldn't even handle that small group of Japanese pirates for decades. So it is that time. So this is to share with you today. I'm speaking here like in the university. I show you what it is. I respect everybody, but this is a technical thing. Are we going to get our daughter, our sister, our mom to practice something here, have a false security of this internal art, this cheese or this anything, and then what they don't know is that they're going to face this in the reality? I'm not going to do that, and I know that you're not going to do that too, because it put our family, our people in danger. Are we going to go promote everything like in this black hole to our Wing Chun brother and sister, while not telling them about this the entire thing? That's why I say, even if Wing Chun is here today, or Yik Kam, my Sijo is here today, I present this right in front of their eyes. And I'm sure that they like it. Because this is the path to open up the lock, open up the trap. We need to grow. If it's not grow as a technology, it is obsolete.